We're recording? I am. How is yeah, an unbelievable fucking storm last night. Storm Ellen. Ellen Degenerate. But I tell you, it was one of those storms that it blew in good vibes and blew out bad negative energy. You know those kind of storms? It had that vibe to it. So it wasn't so bad. So, a theory I've had for a long time is that a society, I mean like usually a nation, right, is held up by twin pillars. You know, there's a pillar here and a pillar here. And they hold up the officialdom of the nation, okay? What the nation purports to be. And the twin pillars is represented by the mass of the people holding it up and what they reflect. Each country is held up by twin pillars. And you'll find your country is as well. For instance, in the UK, the twin pillars are the class system and the NHS. In the United States, they are patriotism and Christianity. And in Ireland, the twin pillars are cowardice and mediocrity. Now, you hear this thing about the fighting Irish and the Irish are tough and all this stuff. Well, that's Irish exceptionalism. And the average Irishman is a coward. And that's just how it is. They're very cowardly. And Irish people are terrified ninnies for the most part. And that's why they've been so easy to control by the British and the Church and so on over the centuries. And mediocrity is the sort of the unspoken agreement that allows that to take place. And so therefore, if you're mediocre, you don't have exceptionalism, and then you don't have bravery. So it's like that. Now, examples of Irish mediocrity would be, well, everything really. I mean, we're really good at mediocrity in this country, taking something that's average and making it seem like it's amazing. Everything from television presenters and beer, everything. And that mediocrity is represented by things like the population referring to politicians by their first name, like their friends. That shows how mediocre the politicians are. Because we don't even see them as states leaders or statesmen or stateswomen. We see them as, you know, fuckhead down the road. So there's no exceptionalism in Irish politics. And the cowardice is the inability to step outside that. Now, that's not the full story, of course. For a small nation, our influence in the world is unbelievable. I mean, we're good at everything, our writers are the best, our bands are the biggest, our dances, we can take something like Irish dancing and turn it into a massive industry. Our sports people are massive, very successful. Everything, right? Actors, movies, we're very good at everything. Except painting. We've yet to produce the Irish painter that will blow the world away. That hasn't happened yet. But just about everything else, we're exceptionally good at producing the best in the world. And the reason for that is these are people and individuals and groups that stepped outside the twin pillars of cowardice and mediocrity. And then their exceptionalism came to the fore. Now, that's just how it always has been, and your country will have the same thing too. You'll find that the mavericks, the unconventionals, are the ones who have changed things. And when the storm was raging last night, I was thinking about that. How they're all, the storm took away from the fear over the COVID thing. Now, a thing that's happened that's interesting in the last few days, I met John Waters yesterday for coffee. And we were saying that in the last week something has changed. The Irish government made an announcement the other day about the new lockdowns, and they're actually even more strict again. 6 people allowed indoors at events. It's ridiculous. And this time it wasn't met with the ooh, whoa, ooh, ah. It was like that. The population went like that. And even the head of sporting organisations asked specifically for the evidence to prove that you can't put people in a stadium. Where's the evidence? The medical evidence. Now, the Telegraph newspaper, the English Telegraph, not the Belfast Telegraph, had an article yesterday about how basically, and it's what I've been saying for a while now, is that the politicians know that there was no pandemic, and their biggest terror is the people flying this out. I mean, the masses. And so this is why they're making the lockdowns more strict, to try and control that, while they develop an exit strategy in order to, this is going on in your country as well, an exit strategy in order to get out of this nonsense. Now, they're going to try and, my theory is, and you've heard me say it for a while, that they're going to try and spin this around to like, we survived, we did amazing, we beat it, just like we beat the Nazis in World War II, just like we beat the commies in the Cold War. Go out and celebrate and live, shop, live life, party, fall in love, get married, have children. It'll be like that. They'll try to whip up a post-World War II type of reconstructionist mentality among the population. And of course most people will go out there, they'll do that. That's just how they are. Now, this is reflecting in different ways, because the Rona has actually brought people to the fore and made them reach exceptional heights, John Waters being one of them. You know, I was having coffee with the man yesterday, and I mean, I grew up with John Waters, and he was sort of like, you know, I remember when I was a kid reading Hot Press, and he was in the music magazine there, which was once an excellent music magazine. And then he went to the Irish Times. He was always on Irish mainstream TV. And, but now he's exceptional because, you know, he's always a very good writer and everything. But now he's stepped out. He stepped away from those twin pillars of mediocrity and cowardice. And not to say he was like that, I'm just saying that's the system he functioned within. You know, had to pay his bills like anyone else, and I've been there too. And he's now, you know, he's irony now is he's more famous around the world than just about any other Irish journalist who's playing the mainstream game, including Fintan O'Toole, who's basically a Clinton Foundation, you know, spokesperson, and that shows you that stepping away from the twin pillars of conservatism and convention that hold up your society is the path to exceptionalism. It's the path to greatness. You know, it's true. It's like being trapped in a marriage that's like, okay, you know, I'm putting up with this marriage for the sake of the kids, or the sake of it looks good, and it looks good for the community and stuff, or the family and stuff like that. But you'll rot away in that marriage or that relationship. It's when you step out that you find that you'll grow. That you will actually blossom, because your energy is devoted to reinforcing a piece of theatre that's just eating away your creative energy. And the same thing is when you're trapped in your society, whatever country you're in, not just Ireland. If you're maintaining the twin columns of your culture, you're not growing towards your own exceptionalism. What you're doing is maintaining a package or a demarcated box in which you can live off the collective rather than excel as an individual. Lots of people do this. You know, they always say that, like, prayer is the last refuge of a scoundrel. The last refuge of a scoundrel is patriotism. I've always found that mediocre people are patriotic. Now, not patriotic in the sense that they'll fight for their country or anything. Patriotic in the sense that, like, my country is great, it's the best, those types. And every country is great and shit in some degree or the other. No country is amazing, and no country is the best, and no country is the worst. It's all over the place in different things. An American saying, you know, America's the greatest nation on earth means nothing if you're a homeless person in California on the streets, you know. So it's very easy for the population to jump behind us and say, oh, England is the best, Britain is the best, or whatever country you're in, France, or Ireland. It's a way of not having to be brave and to stand out as an exceptional human being, because if you're exceptional, as anyone finds out, especially John Waters found out since he left the Irish mainstream, that you will then become a target, because the rest of them are like, don't you dare prevent the rest of us from being mediocre. How dare you leave us all here to be mediocre and dishonest and fake? And but nature doesn't like fakes, doesn't like mediocrity. It annihilates it with entropy. Nature adores novelty, just like Terence McKenna has always said. It adores it, and it wants novelty, and it will help novelty in any way it can. And so this is how the path to greatness is not achieved by being in the gang. It's achieved by the hero's journey, one step alone. And that applies to all of us in all our lives, no matter who we are, what gender we are, what social class we come from, anything. That's what it's about. And that pain is the energy that's coming in to create the greatness, to create the happiness, to create the satisfaction, to create the exceptionalism. And I'm seeing it now happening with the Rona thing. I know people, I'm sure it's happening in your country as well, who are saying, "No, what, fuck it, I'll find a way around this." And they're changing their lives or their business or whatever, or their work life, to be outside the restrictions of the Rona. And they're actually finding within themselves new energies that weren't there before the Rona. So they're developing an exceptionalism. And as a result, they've got a spark under their arse. They've got a fire in their belly. And they're starting to look, like they're really doing something. It's brilliant. This is why, I've gotten a lot of thing over the years for saying depressed people, slagging them off. I don't slag off depressed people. There's two kinds of depressed people out there. There's depressed people that have depression who don't bother anyone. I've no problem with them. And then there's people who have depression who drag everyone down with them. And these are often, the ones who they're always threatening to kill themselves and stuff like that. Meanwhile, everyone else around them dies, usually from cancer and things like that, or their own suicide. And because there's ultimately a selfishness in their grimness. The world must serve me and my pain. These types, and they're the ones I talk about when I say these things. And that's what where there's another depressed person that's depressed and doesn't bother anybody, doesn't look for sympathy or anything like that, just deals with it. Not that I'm saying they shouldn't reach out or something, but I'm just saying, you've all met them, the professionally depressed type, that they built an industry on it. And the people who enter into their lives are always destroyed, because the depressed individual is about sucking the life energy out of everyone else around them. And if you threaten to walk away, they'll say, they won't say it directly, but they'll put the notion in your head that they'll kill themselves, and you'll be upset about it. Well, it's the same thing with the Rona lockdown. The politicians of every country has acted like a professionally depressed person, and you're all going to be depressed with me. You're all going to be depressed with us. We're all going down together. And if you don't go down together, well, you don't love me. That's why they appeal to patriotism. In the same way, a professionally depressed person will go, "I need you to be my rock." Those types. And it's when you finally say, "I don't want to spend the rest of my life as this grim loser," and you walk away and you get on with your life, that you will find exceptionalism and flourish. It's the same thing that's happening now at the Rona. I think people don't even care about what will be the next level of restrictions to be released or enforced. They're finding a way around it to do their own thing. And what's that? The parallel reality. The parallel reality the parallel society. That's the future. I'm convinced of it. And it's happening all around us. And don't you dare think for a second that these things can't change and affect by osmosis. I was reading an article in physics.org the other day about things called time crystals. Now, time crystals were a theoretical physicist notions that there could be quantum particles within the quantum realm that were synchronized but not together, just by their and it would not be affected by proximity. So it's just a theoretical thing. Like so much in quantum physics and magic, because it's the same thing really, this time crystals show up in the laboratories a few years later. And two particles that, the quantum particle that's perfectly synchronized with another one. And this is exceptional potential in things like quantum computing and even timing. We can make the most accurate clocks ever for making perfect GPS satellites and so on, this kind of thing. And because that's why it helps overcome Einstein's theory of relativity, because this is one of the problems with GPS satellites, is that there's something like 8 seconds in the future, or in space, or 8 seconds in the future, and they have to be, otherwise they would not sync with us on Earth, because the further with Einstein's theory of relativity is when you go away from Earth, time slows down. And so they have to be, so satellites are basically in the future by 8 seconds. Now, with this thing called time crystals, this quantum time crystal aspect, they can be perfectly synced with on Earth, because the two particles can be synced like a type of a quantum entanglement. So the theoretical physicists came up with an idea of something that could be useful in particle physics, and it would have real-world applications, and called time crystals. Lo and behold, he conjured it. That's what he did. Just like the Higgs boson, he conjured it into reality, and it was found and discovered. And time crystals don't actually exist, but you can observe them and tap into them. It's just incredible when you think about it. It is magic, really. And this is like what the magicians have always been saying. And the reality is there for the hacking. So something that didn't exist, that was thought up in the mind of a particle physicist, has come into reality in the quantum realm, but we know it's real and not real at the same time. Now, this is the same thing with us and our parallel society. You don't have to create a t-shirt saying parallel society go, or a hashtag parallel society. You just do it. And by osmosis, you hack reality. And what happens then is you get your parallel reality, parallel society. And it's like it starts to change in other people, and they start to experience as well. Because I've noticed that with quantum physics, quantum theory, is that the theory is often discovered by another individual, not by the person who theorized it. Fascinating stuff. So it's like what I said in magic, it's as a poetic outcome, and so therefore you will notice other people moving into the parallel society without you having to tell them. A kind of a collective unconscious thing happens. And this is why I'm not in the least negative about the future. And the thing is to believe it's real and it comes to pass. And that's what I'm seeing now. People are saying, I don't care what the latest restrictions are, I'm going to do something now that can compensate no matter what the restrictions are. So people who have indoor cafes who are restricted to numbers of people because of these restrictions, they're saying, I'm not going to wait until March until the government gives me the latest guidelines. What I'm going to do is build an outdoor cafe that's outside these restrictions, or do a mobile travelling restaurant or something that can go to parks. See, that's all part of the jumping out of this is all the exceptionalism. You're becoming an exception to the rule, to the guidelines, the Rona rules, literally. And this is important stuff. This is powerful stuff. You know, I was born like that. I never ever was part of Irish society. You know, I did all things I liked. I took part in and so on like that. But I was never one of these people to take part in things just because you have to do it. And I never will be. Never will be. I'm also a great believer in if something is not working for you, just walk away instantaneously. You don't let it drag out and destroy you, because I've seen so many people destroy their lives by trying to, maybe I'll get better, those kind of thing. So I mean, it's not cold. It's just that I have to live, and that's that, and I'm not going to waste my life on people who are going to try to drag me down, or even if it's even if it's deliberate or accidental. And that's their future. That's your future now. Look for exceptionalism. Start thinking of exceptionalism, and this is how you'll get into the parallel society. And it will happen. It'll happen because, I'm glad to see that lots of people stop watching. It was great to see the other day when the government here made that announcement. Everyone done whatever, rather than oh my god, what's the latest restrictions? Am I going to be hunted down? Blah 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 blah. Am I going to be taken down? And this kind of thing. I'm going to be in trouble. Oh my god, my business finished. And I had another friend who said, as long as the government keep giving me money, I don't give a fuck. So it's not. He says it's like I see it as a protection racket, and that's what the people are getting money, but here they're getting €350 a week, and each person, and that's protection money to stop us from rioting. Really, when you think about it, And so people are doing that. And yes, so that's what I would say. It's in your country. Don't be, I get people saying to me like, oh, Thomas, you've been brilliant. You've helped me with my sanity during this period. I'm delighted to help you with that. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to help me and all the rest of us by moving towards your own exceptionalism and walking away and beginning just your own version, bespoke, piecemeal, on the fly, but controlled, your own personal reality model going forward. And let's step outside the twin pillars of our society that holds it up together, and let's hack this bitch, because I tell you something, we're getting an opportunity now to change things. And those of us who are in the tribe, hack away. Start developing and theorizing time crystals of your own. And you're never going to get a better opportunity than now. So, love yous, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.